Hey Star Trek fans, welcome back to Kertrats Productions and to the first week in Trek in 2025. The biggest thing coming up in the Star Trek world this month is, of course, the release of Section 31 in just a couple short weeks. And we have some news from interviews from actors and the director of the film. Plus, we also have a new comic release this week. So, without further ado, let's get into the news.
You're the captain of the most important space station in the entire Federation. You're news.
The recent issue of SFX magazine features interviews with a number of people involved in the making of Star Trek Section 31, including director Olatunde Osunsanmi. You might remember a few years ago when Section 31 was first announced, it was meant to be a new Star Trek television series. Well, it has gone through several different permutations since then, eventually taking its final form as the streaming movie we will all see on January 24th. Osunsanmi, in his interview with SFX, had some interesting things to say about the development of the film and what it took to get it into its current form. It has been retooled so much, the two stories are completely unrecognizable, and Craig Sweeney, the writer, has been in the middle of that for the whole process. He's been in a situation to have written, I think, 7 different iterations of this. When I say 7 different iterations, the first iteration was 6 episodes of the first season of Section 31. The second iteration was another 5 episodes of Section 31, which were completely different than the previous iteration. Then the 4th, 5th, and 6th were multiple pilots that were outlines. Then we had the movie, and the movie itself went through a couple of iterations. The possibility of future streaming films on Paramount Plus was also raised during the interview, and Osunsanmi addressed this question as well. Hopefully the fans love Section 31 and love this format, and we're able to continue this format with other stories and be able to expand the universe so much faster, because it doesn't have to all be television series. It can just be one pop, one pop, one pop. If the audience, the fans, they love it, the sky's the limit with what we can do. I think I might get into a bit of trouble if I expand upon that. But I think as long as there's love from the audience, there's incredible fertile ground that was laid with Section 31 to continue to grow the franchise and grow the world. The door's open. I personally am excited at the prospect of more streaming Star Trek films, and I hope this is a direction that Paramount Plus is able to go in. There are a lot of story possibilities, both for the continuation of Michelle Yeoh's character in Section 31, and in completely new and different directions as well. The format lends itself to many intriguing possibilities, and hopefully we can see more Star Trek streaming films in the future. Also speaking with SFX in their recent issue is Section 31 actor Robert Kazinsky, who himself is a huge fan of Star Trek. In the film, he plays the character of Zeph, the muscle of the Section 31 team, wearing an impressive mech suit that augments his strength. When asked what it was like as a lifelong fan of Star Trek to have the opportunity to make this film, he had this to say. I love Star Trek with a real passion, and the fact that it was such wonderful people and such a wonderful experience, and firing phasers is exactly as fun as you think it's going to be. Seeing Klingons and Andorians, it's everything that you want it to be, with people who exceed every aspect that you want them to exceed. It was, I think, the one time in my life where my dream came true, with 0 disappointments. However, being such a huge fan of Star Trek, Kazinsky is aware of some of the biases that fandom can have, and he revealed that he is worried about how the film will be received by some Star Trek fans. I'm terrified of how it's going to be received because it's not the Trek people want. The Trek that people want, the Trek that we all want, is just 1,000 more episodes of TNG. Everyone's always furious that they're not getting more TNG, whilst at the same time, when TNG came out, everybody hated it. So this is going to come along and it's not going to feel like any Trek that they've ever seen. Definitely some true words from Kazinsky there. There seems to be a cycle that continues to rear its ugly head every time Star Trek does something new. It began, of course, with TNG back in the 80s. A lot of people did not enjoy the fact that it wasn't Captain Kirk and the crew of the Enterprise. It always seems to start with, I hate this, and then eventually a sort of grudging acceptance, and then a total love of the new thing. And then of course the next new thing comes along, a decade later, and everyone who said they hated the previous thing says, why can't this new thing be just like the previous Star Trek? I've been a fan of Star Trek since the late 80s and early 90s, and I've seen it over and over again, with Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise Big Time, and the Kelvin Timeline films. I guarantee in 20 years, when the next big revival of Star Trek happens, there will be fans who say, this isn't real Star Trek like Star Trek Discovery was. All of this has happened before, and all of this will happen again. Well, that's the wrong franchise, but you get my point. I, for one, will be giving Section 31 a chance, and I am honestly looking forward to something new and different, and I hope everyone else out there will give it a chance as well. Section 31 premieres on Paramount Plus in the US and international markets that carry the streaming service on Friday, January 24th. In some markets in Europe, the film will be available on Sky Showtime on February 7th.
Sometimes I think you North Americans read nothing but comic books and those ridiculous science fiction novels.
We have just one new Star Trek release this week, the next issue in the ongoing Star Trek Defiant comic series. Issue number 22 kicks off a new story arc titled No Old Warriors, launching the next chapter of the series. Here's the synopsis from IDW. B'Elanna Torres is in the captain's chair of the Defiant, and she has a choice to make. Return home and report for duty as the Mother Miral needs, or continue saving the universe with her crew. With her disavowed status from Starfleet Command and all that she's been through, from bounty hunting to parasite infections, B'Elanna isn't sure she's strong enough for either task. Luckily, O'Brien proposes a detour adventure to dismantle minefields in the Alpha Quadrant, and B'Elanna jumps at the chance to forestall a final decision. For now. Star Trek Defiant number 22 is written by Christopher Cantwell with art by Angel Unzueta. The issue is out on Wednesday, January 8th. And that's it for This Week in Trek. Thanks for joining me to kick off 2025, and here's to many more new and successful enterprises for Star Trek throughout the year. Thanks, of course, to the Patreon supporters. You are a huge help to the channel. And thanks to each and every one of you for watching. Follow us on social media. You can find Kertrats Productions on Facebook and on Blue Sky, as well as Instagram. We'd love to see you there. I've been Dan Gunther. Have a great week, and most importantly, as always, live long and prosper.